Okay, but look at the part where there's literally a 23-year black hole. I mean, that is fucking insane. You're telling me the First Lady of France, one of the most photographed women in Europe, has 0 photos of her youth.
Right.
Like, no photos of her first wedding, no photos of her as a young mother. It's just a total blackout from 1963 to 1986. If you were born in the 1950s in a relatively affluent French family, there is a photographic record.
You definitely think so.
Trying to find her past is like looking for the digital footprint of a time traveler who just, I don't know, dropped into the 1980s.
It defies all logic of how modern history works, which is exactly why we need to ground ourselves and contextualize what we're actually looking at today.
Yeah, we really do.
Because the text you're reacting to is Xavier Poussard's 2025 investigation,
Yeah.
Becoming Brigitte. And look, if you're listening to this, I want to be crystal clear with you. We are not endorsing these wild allegations as unquestionable fact. We are absolutely not taking a political side here, left, right, or center. But we are tearing into what this massive, highly controversial document actually claims.
Because you just can't ignore it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're doing this because the sheer scale of the text, the granular level of its investigation, and the absolute terrifying paranoia it triggered inside the French government are impossible to look away from.
I really can't look away from any of it, because the official legend, right, the one we've all been spoon-fed by the global media for years, is this classic Rosewater romance.
Everyone knows the story.
Right. Emmanuel Macron, this 15-year-old prodigy in Amiens, they literally called him a young Mozart because he was so brilliant and intense, meets his drama teacher, Brigitte.
And she happens to be 24 years older.
Exactly. And against all odds, completely ignoring the whispering and the gossip of this cramped provincial town, they fall in love. They forge this extraordinary destiny that carries him straight to the Élysée Palace.
That's the narrative.
It's packaged and sold as this ultimate triumph over patriarchal norms.
It functions as the ultimate progressive fairy tale. You know, it makes them look like rebels who beat the system.
Totally.
But Poussard's central thesis completely inverts that entire narrative architecture. He argues that this highly publicized, scandalous 24-year age gap wasn't just a quirky detail of their love story.
It was something else entirely.
Right. It was a calculated decoy, a massive, flashy, deliberate shield designed to hide a much larger, darker, and incredibly complex secret about who Brigitte actually is.
Okay, let's unpack the mechanics of that decoy. Because if the romance is just a smokescreen, what exactly are they distracting us from?
The professional background, for starters.
Yeah, the text starts by picking apart her professional background, which seems mundane until you realize the pieces just don't fit. Officially, the biography says she had a master's degree in modern literature, she wrote a thesis on courtly love, and she had capes.
And the capes is the highly rigorous French national teaching diploma.
Right. If you have a capes, you are essentially untouchable in the academic hierarchy.
You're an anointed intellectual.
Yeah.
Except when investigators and journalists, and we're talking about mainstream journalists here,
right,
like Sylvie Baumel from Vanity Fair, actually went looking for the paper trail, the archives were empty.
Wait, empty? Like no trace at all?
None. The capes, nowhere to be found. The Ministry of Education has no record of her passing.
Holy shit.
And the master's degree appears to be just a basic literature certificate that she obtained a year late. Even the dates of when she supposedly started her teaching career fluctuate wildly between 1984 and 1986, depending on which official biography you read. Nothing lines up.
And this is where my brain starts breaking, because despite this completely bogus CV, she somehow ends up teaching at Saint Louis de Gonzague, known as Franklin.
Right.
That is not just a nice school. It is the most elite, ultra-prestigious private high school in Paris. It's the breeding ground for the French Republic's elite.
You definitely don't just walk in there with a fake resume.
Exactly, and a missing teaching diploma. She was teaching the literal cream of the crop. We're talking the sons of Bernard Arnault, the LVMH billionaire. She taught the kids of future political power brokers.
So the question is,
yeah, like, is the document saying she just faked a degree to teach rich kids, or was this whole placement strategic? It feels like a magician's misdirection.
how so?
You wave this scandalous age gap hand in the air, like, look over here, she's 24 years older.
Right.
So nobody looks at the other hand, the one quietly building a golden Rolodex of the most powerful families in Europe.
Well, what's fascinating here is the power dynamic that emerges from that very Rolodex.
Yeah.
If you buy Poussard's thesis, the couple operates on what journalists call the reversed front of the official story.
Right.
The media paints Brigitte as the softening, maternal influence on this dynamic, aggressive young president. But insiders quoted in the text say it's the exact opposite.
Which is wild.
Emmanuel Macron is the emotional, highly dependent one. Brigitte is the ruthless enforcer.
Damn, that shifts the entire psychology of their relationship. Why would a 15-year-old prodigy, someone isolated by his own intellect, seek out a traditional maternal figure?
He wouldn't.
Right. He'd seek out an uncompromising protector. And the text claims he doesn't do anything without her. From his haircuts, to picking his suits, to literally handpicking his cabinet ministers.
Like Marlene Schiappa and Gabriel Attal.
Exactly. The document claims they owe their entire political careers to her enforcing their rise. She even co-opted the Arnault family, who now officially dress her in Louis Vuitton.
Which completely shatters the illusion of the naive provincial teacher swept off her feet. Instead, she is portrayed as a hyper-connected, deeply embedded political operative who functions in a total legal vacuum.
It's like a carefully constructed theater set.
The document actually quotes a former socialist official saying, if you don't have the key to reading the theater, you don't understand anything.
And if her professional past is theater, her personal past is a straight-up ghost town. I mean, we have to talk about the phantom of this story.
Her supposed first husband.
Yes, André Auzière. This is the part that had me literally yelling at my screen.
He is the invisible man of modern French history.
Literally. Think about the reality of this. You're a bank executive in a small, gossipy town. Your wife, the mother of your 3 children, leaves you for a teenager.
High school student.
A high school student. That is explosive. That ruins lives. Yet this guy completely vanishes. It's like a witness protection program scrubbing.
He doesn't fight for custody or anything.
Nothing. There are absolutely no photos of him on the internet. In the digital age, how does a wealthy bank executive not leave a single trace? And when he supposedly dies in 2019.
It reads like a covert military op.
Holy shit, yes.
The details of the funeral are incredibly chilling. December 2019, a highly secretive rapid cremation at Père Lachaise crematorium in Paris. It's organized for 8:30 in the morning specifically to avoid journalists.
And who even goes to that?
Almost no one attends. His own ex-wife, Brigitte, doesn't even show up. But Élysée Palace security personnel like state security are there standing guard.
That is just bizarre.
And the fact of his death was completely hidden from the French public for almost a year.
You don't call out state security to guard the cremation of a random ex-husband. So if her professional past is a fabricated decoy and her first husband is a phantom, who the hell is she?
And this is where the document drops the absolute biggest bomb.
Yeah, it really does.
We arrive at the thesis put forward by Natasha Ray, which serves as the explosive core of Poussard's entire investigation. The claim is that Brigitte is actually a man.
Her own brother, right?
Yes, specifically her brother, Jean-Michel Trogneux.
On its face, it sounds completely insane, just peak internet conspiracy garbage.
Right.
But then you read the methodology of how Ray actually arrived at this. She wasn't just pulling it out of thin air to be provocative.
No, she was looking at the very few childhood photos that were ever released by the family, specifically a family photo shown in a 2018 documentary.
Okay.
She started looking closely at the brother, Jean-Michel, who was essentially scrubbed from the internet. The presidency claimed he was just a little fat man living quietly in Amiens.
Right.
But Ray took the childhood photo of Jean-Michel and superimposed it onto modern-day Brigitte.
And the text claims the biometric markers are a perfect match. They point out the hair implants, the exact shape of the upturned nose, the jawline, the broad shoulders, the virile gait.
More specifically, the investigation focuses on the cutaneous mucosal line of the mouth.
Oh, what line?
The cutaneous mucosal line. This isn't just about having similar lips. It's medical terminology for the vermilion border, the exact millimeter where the skin of your face meets the tissue of your lips.
Oh, wow.
It is highly idiosyncratic. It acts almost like a fingerprint. And the document claims that the line on the childhood photo of Jean-Michel matches Brigitte perfectly.
Okay, but the visual stuff is one thing. Where Poussard's investigation genuinely freaked me out was the 1977 Veronique tape. That is arguably the most surreal piece of alleged evidence in the entire massive document.
It is entirely bizarre. Antenne 2, which is French public television, aired an interview in 1977 with a transgender woman using the pseudonym Veronique, talking openly about her transition.
Right, and her face is totally hidden in shadow.
Exactly. But Poussard's investigation claims they took this broadcast and ran the audio through professional voice analysis software.
I need to know how that even works, because you'd think a voice from 1977 wouldn't sound anything like a woman in her 70s today.
Well, voice analysis doesn't just listen to the pitch. Pitch can change with age, smoking, or training, The software measures the physiological shape of the vocal tract.
Like the actual anatomy.
Yes, vocal cord thickness, the size of the resonance chambers in the throat and mouth. Those leave a biometric fingerprint that transitioning or aging doesn't fully erase. A studio in Brussels allegedly ran the analysis and stated the fundamental voice structures match Brigitte Macron perfectly. And beyond just the biometrics, they analyzed the prosody.
Prosody. Explain that.
Prosody is the musicality of how someone speaks. The rhythm, the micro-pauses between syllables, the specific intonation patterns.
So like the rhythm of your speech.
All right, it's hardwired into your neurology. The analysis allegedly found that Veronique shared the exact same prosody, the same diction, and the specific verbal tics like constantly using the filler phrase, that is to say, as Brigitte Macron.
Okay, assuming for a second this is all true, how does the document explain the logistics of this? You don't just swap lives overnight and take over someone else's identity. How legally and practically does a brother become his sister?
The text alleges a massive orchestrated case of identity theft occurring around 1986. Jean-Michel Trogneux transitions, legally assumes the identity of his younger sister, Brigitte Trogneux, and steps fully into her life.
Oh, wow.
This, according to Poussard, is the structural mechanism that perfectly explains the 23-year black hole we started the conversation with. Why are there no photos of Brigitte as a young mother? Because the person we know as Brigitte wasn't the mother.
Wait, then what happened to the actual Brigitte, like the real sister?
The document implies she either died young or vanished under undisclosed circumstances, leaving her legal identity dormant and available to be co-opted.
That is so dark.
And this mechanism explains why the timelines in her official biographies are a constant blurry mess. For instance, she once gave an interview to Elle magazine, claiming her older sister died in a tragic car crash when Brigitte was 8 years old.
But investigators pulled the actual death certificate, right? And she was actually 6.
Yes. Exactly.
And the document argues these aren't just innocent memory lapses from an old woman. It's a deliberate psychological strategy of blurring dates to cover tracks.
Because when you assume an identity, you don't have the muscle memory of those childhood events.
Right, so you constantly get the math slightly wrong. It's why when a journalist went to the town of Le Touquet to find anyone, literally anyone, who went to high school with this vibrant miniskirt wearing Brigitte, they couldn't find a single classmate.
Not one person remembered her.
Because the document asserts she simply didn't exist there.
Now, a completely rational person hears all of this and thinks, okay, this is an elaborate, highly detailed, fringe internet conspiracy. The best thing a government can do is just ignore it and let it die in the dark corners of the web.
Yeah, that's what you would expect.
But the French state did the exact opposite. And their unprecedented reaction is what elevated this from an internet rumor to a massive international diplomatic incident.
The Streisand effect in real time. For anyone who doesn't know, the Streisand effect is when you try to suppress or hide information, and your aggressive attempts to censor it actually draw exponentially more attention to it.
They really played right into it.
They went into absolute overdrive. If it's just a crazy rumor, you laugh it off. You post a single photo of yourself pregnant in the 1970s, and boom, the conspiracy is dead in one day. But they didn't do that.
Instead, they weaponized the entire apparatus of the French state. Natasha Ray, the woman who originated the thesis, wasn't just sued for defamation, she was thrown into police custody.
Just for sending messages to a member of the family. And it wasn't just the originators getting hit. The document details the case of a 76-year-old homeless pensioner who got 6 months in prison. 6 months.
Just for mailing a meme.
Just for mailing a meme about the theater to the Élysée Palace. Meanwhile, the administration brings in Michelle Marchand and her powerful Bestimage agency to run this massive coordinated SEO manipulation campaign.
And we should explain the mechanics of how that works. You don't delete the internet. You drown it.
Right. It's a tactic called keyword flooding. Bestimage allegedly pumped out thousands of high-authority, fluffy articles about Brigitte's fashion, her style, her androgynous look.
Because Google's algorithm ranks recent, high-traffic, vanity URLs from major publishers at the very top.
It essentially acts as a digital bulldozer. If you search for the controversy, the real queries got pushed to page 15 of Google, buried under endless articles about her Louis Vuitton bags.
The paranoia from the top was palpable. In March 2024, Emmanuel Macron did a primetime interview on TF1, and his features were visibly drawn. He looked exhausted.
I remember seeing clips of that.
On national television, he called this rumor that his wife is actually a man, his worst memory as president of the republic.
Which is an insane statement for a guy who dealt with the violent yellow vest riots burning down Paris and a literal global pandemic.
Truly. But you can't contain the internet with lawsuits and fashion articles.
No. The hashtag Jean-Michel Trogneux trended globally for days, and it completely escaped French borders.
It morphed from a domestic headache into a genuine geopolitical talking point.
Candace Owens did multiple hour-long deep dives on it, calling it one of the biggest political scandals in human history. Russian state media, on primetime TV, was openly broadcasting the theory to millions.
And damn, the wildest detail in the whole text.
Oh, the Mar-a-Lago thing.
Yes. When the FBI raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, among the nuclear secrets, they found a classified file labeled 1A Info Re President of France.
In the FBI, 1A denotes highly sensitive, closely guarded intelligence. Trump had a file on this.
And Macron himself was forced to go on CNN and admit the situation was not very pleasant and that he was actively trying not to be paranoid.
Which is a stunning, deeply vulnerable admission from a nuclear-armed head of state regarding an internet rumor. So if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking the exact same thing I am, and I have to push back on the official narrative here.
Yeah, go ahead.
If this is totally fake, completely fabricated nonsense drawn up by crazy people, why use the full weight of the state to crush a few internet trolls? Doesn't jailing an old man over a meme just make it look exactly like you're hiding something?
It's a huge red flag.
You don't call out the military for a ghost. You don't lock up pensioners because of a Photoshop.
That is the pivotal, chilling question this entire document forces us to confront. We don't even have to believe a single word of the Ray Thesis to recognize the absolute terrifying reality of the state's response.
Right.
When a modern democratic government utilizes extreme authoritarian measures, police custody, prison sentences for memes, mass censorship, and algorithmic manipulation, to forcibly curate an official legend and erase inconvenient pasts, does the actual truth even matter anymore? Or have we entered a reality where the state's desperate, paranoid need for total control essentially creates the very monsters it's trying to fight?